O katoa, ka mihi aroha ki a tātou. Greetings to this day, this beautiful whare that holds us. To those of my pagan group who have come to share this ritual this morning, and to all other pagans who are present. To members of the Unitarian community, so open-hearted and open-minded, who welcome us into your space at this time, which has meaning to us, and to all others who are here in person or in spirit for the first time or many times, you are welcome. Imbolc, the festival we celebrate today, marks the midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. At this time in the wheel of the year, my ancestors in Ireland, Scotland, Cornwall and Sweden perhaps joined with your ancestors also and welcomed the return of precious light into the world. In following their tradition and their example, we are reminded of the hope and the promise of spring, where once again the world is made new. For many I know, and perhaps for some of you also, and people that you know, this winter has carried a particular bitterness, with its long cold nights, illness, death, and almost every day it seems, news of international pain. Sorrow permeates a global consciousness. This morning we gather to welcome a new season, though our own hearts, or the hearts of those we love, may be broken open by grief, burdens, worry, fear, illness, exhaustion, or overload. We all had a choice today, and each of us made the choice to travel through the winter morning to be here. Today we gather to refresh our inner yearning, the internal spark that pulls us again and again towards itself in hope, towards the light of the divine. In representation of that light and inner spark, clay now lights the Unitarian chalice, a light of hope as we share this time together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is the sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each other and with our God. And so, time for all ages. Do we have anyone here who identifies as a young person or is just feeling youthful today? Yay! All right, come and join me. Shall we sit on the carpet? Let's sit on the carpet, where it's a bit warmer for our butts. All righty. So today I have a story about Saint Brigid of Ireland and her blue cloak. So you might have heard this story before. I don't know if you've heard this version before. Saint Brigid of Ireland has a feast day tomorrow. One of the stories I know of her starts on the day she was born in 435. On that day, she was visited by a mysterious druid who gave her a bright blue cloak. As Brigid grew, she always wore her beautiful blue cloak, and the cloak kept growing in size with her. One day, when Brigid was a young woman, she asked the king for land for a convent. She told the king that the place where she stood was the perfect spot for a convent. It was beside a forest where they could collect firewood and berries. There was also a lake nearby that would provide water, and the land was fertile. The king laughed at her and refused to give her any land. Brigid prayed to God and asked him to soften the king's heart. Then she smiled at the king and said, "Will you at least give me as much land as my cloak will cover?" The king thought that she was joking, and hoping to get rid of her, he agreed. She told 4 of her sisters to take up the cloak, one at each corner. But instead of laying the cloak flat on the turf, each of her 4 sisters, north, east, southwest, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, turned their faces to the 4 directions and began to run swiftly, the cloth growing behind them as they ran. The cloak kept growing and began to cover many, many acres of land. "Oh, Brigid," said the frightened king, "what are you about?" "I am, or rather my cloak is about, covering your whole province to punish you for your stinginess to the poor." "Call the maidens back. I will give you a decent plot of land," said the king. Brigid was persuaded, and if the king held his purse strings too tight in future, she had only to allude to her blue cloak to bring him to reason. Soon afterwards, the king began to help the poor and commissioned the building of the convent. Legend has it the convent was known for making jam from the local blueberries, blue like Brigid's coat, and jam which was sought all over Ireland. There is a new tradition among followers of St. Brigid to eat blueberry jam on the 1st of February in the north, or 1st of August in the south, in honour of that miracle. And I just happen to have some blueberry jam. It's not from Ireland, it's from France, but I hope that's okay. So I gift you some buns and some blueberry jam to enjoy for when you leave us. So thank you for sitting with me and listening to the story. So I chose 2 readings for today. One which spoke to me of winter and darkness, which I'll read first, and then the second which spoke to me of spring and the light, because we are in the middle of those 2 seasons. So the first which I chose for winter is by the Sufi mystic Rumi, and it's called The Guest House. "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." And we have a song while the koha is being collected. It's called "Better Than a Hallelujah" by Amy Grant, and the words are in your program. On this day, Imbolc, we are halfway between winter and spring. We have a foot in both camps. We can feel the cold outside, but there are daffodils growing. I live in Green Lane, close to Cornwall Park, and already there the daffodils are blooming brightly under the oak trees, and the calves have been born and are clustering together or to their mothers to keep warm. There are many ways to think about the season and its meanings, and I want to talk today about 3 different ways. The first understanding of Imbolc is a literal one, with the cold of Earth's winter shifting to the warming of spring and the light. Thinking about how our ancestors lived with no electric blankets or light, no puffer jackets from Kathmandu, or jet planes to take them to Fiji for some vitamin D. How they must have longed for this time in the year. Winter's harsh reality would have brought loss of crops, animals, and people, and all one could do would be to hope one's autumn harvest was enough to get the family through the dark, icy months. What joy there must have been at this point in the year, the first signs of spring, that the warmth and fertility of animals and fields was returning again. Feasts were held, roaring fires lit, and a thanksgiving of milk from nursing mothers was poured upon the earth in gratefulness. This season was also a time of divination. It was said at this time that the divine hag of Gaelic tradition gathers her firewood for the rest of the winter. Story tells it that if she wishes to make the winter last a good while longer, she will make sure the weather on Imbolc is bright and sunny so she can gather plenty of firewood. Therefore, people would be relieved if Imbolc is a day of awful weather, as it means she knows the cold will ease quickly and there is no need for more firewood, so she stays inside asleep. So look tomorrow, the 1st of August, at the weather. If it is good, tradition says the winter will be long, and if it is bad, tradition says that the end of winter will come quickly. A second understanding of this time is the movement of crone to maiden. In this view, this season is when crone's wisdom and experience gives way to the freshness and openness of the maiden. Something must end in order for something else to be reborn. There is something in our own lives to be completed or released so we can move in another direction. The crone is a wise woman and holds much power. She sees far beyond the note of the last dance. The wise crone also recognizes that death is only a change and that beyond death is life in a new form. She leads those going on that new path and comforts those left behind. Her stories are about endings. We see her dark outline, an empty womb in the waning crescent moon. Whatever your age or gender, if you know, sense, or feel that it's time to move on with a project, a job, a relationship, a way of life, or thinking, the crone would say that now is the time to do it. Sometimes experience means just doing the same thing over and over. In this season, the experienced crone releases her power to the new maiden, allowing innovation to arise and new paths to be explored. The third understanding of this time is the movement from pain to peace. We are so privileged here in New Zealand with access to information from around the globe. However, more and more that information seems to be about war, terrorism, shootings, murder, bombings. I hear people say they will not fly anymore, just holiday close to home. Or they will fly, but not to London or Paris or the US, as they fear attacks and instability. I read terrible attacks on our Muslim brothers and sisters and incitement for more. This is in many ways a painful time. What Imbolc teaches us is that it is time to release that pain and move to peace, to reevaluate what we read and to check our own behaviour, to step in when we hear hate speech and to step up when we see evil, to step up to peace. While the pain seems overwhelming, in reality, humans have always been at war. Modern communications means we simply now know more of others' wars and faster than we ever have before. Not just our own clan's behaviour is in our lap, but that of our entire species. And as we are wired to remember danger, those news items stay with us longer than any good news we hear. Our task for Imbolc, if this resonates with you, is to remember that in fact the world is safer than it has ever been. To be beyond grateful for the bounties and blessings of Aotearoa, where we are so blessed to live and breathe and love and work and play, and to consciously hold peace higher than pain. If charity begins at home, then peace begins with me. Peace begins with us and our own view of the world. One of the things I love about the Wheel of the Year, the seasons of change, is that we always get another turn. In every winter, no matter how cold or how dark, eventually and in its turn, spring comes. The crone eventually gives way to the maiden, experience to innovation. And we always get another chance in every moment to turn from pain to peace. Every morning is a new beginning. Whichever way Imbolc calls to you at this time, I honour your journey and the light in each of you. So on the altar in front of us, around us, you'll see some spring flowers, and under the flowers some small orange tea-light candles which represent the light of the sun. So I invite everyone now, as you feel moved, to come forward and light one of those little orange candles, and representative of what you wish to illuminate or bring to light in your life at this time. And if you wish to, you're most welcome to say that out loud, and if you just want to do it and say it silently, that's fine too. So I leave that open now. So when we look at all these lights, we see the hope in all of us. All of us walk around and we carry these hopes inside us, these wishes for light. And when we come together and share them, we can see that there are just the same hopes and wishes amongst all of us, and that together we can support each other in our journey to illuminate these great things in our life. So the next reading is one which I chose to represent spring, and it's called A Morning Offering by John O'Donoghue. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of a dream that went to harvest from the dark, bread from the hunger that no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, waves of desire I am sure to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. And as we come closer to the close of our service today, halfway between winter and spring, we return to the beauty of our lives, holding hope in our hearts. The days are growing longer, and the air will soon turn soft. Let us carry our intentions forward into the world, nurturing them with prayer, strengthening them in companionship and in action, as we move through winter, holding spring in our hearts. May we literally and figuratively sow seeds and nurture them in the time to come. As a symbol of the growth already forming underground, please take the orange tea-light candles with you when you leave today. And on this end of the altar are seed packets, and real old-fashioned seed packets, as in lemons with seeds in them. So please take the seeds or the lemons and plant those seeds if you prefer a physical manifestation of spring. So please take those candles and the seeds. Imbolc is tomorrow, the 1st of August. So perhaps you might like to do your own ritual at home, to light a candle, to reinforce what you wish to illuminate in your life, and to note what the weather is and what that might mean for winter. Blessed be.